Diseases related to inadequate water, sanitation, and hygiene are a huge burden in developing countries. It is estimated that 88% of diarrheal disease is caused by unsafe water supply and inadequate sanitation and hygiene. Schools, particularly those in rural areas, often completely lack drinking water, sanitation, and hand washing facilities. Alternatively, where such facilities do exist, they are often inadequate in both quality and quantity. Schools with poor water, sanitation, and hygiene conditions and intense levels of person-to-person contact are high-risk environments for children and staff, as they are easily exposed to environmental health hazards. The international policy environment increasingly reflects these issues. Providing adequate levels of water supply, sanitation, and hygiene in schools is of direct relevance to the United Nations Millennium Development Goals of achieving universal primary education, promoting gender equality, and reducing child mortality. At the same time, the United Nations Millennium Project and the United Nations Secretary General have highlighted the importance of rapidly addressing quick wins, that is, identifying specifically provision of services to schools and healthcare facilities. I am Pei Bensu Akwada. Welcome to Water for Life.
Access to improved water and sanitation is a daily challenge for most Nigerians. The problem is particularly acute in rural Nigeria, where only about 30% of the population has access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation. This situation leads to a high prevalence of waterborne diseases, threatens the livelihoods of smallholder farmers, and contributes to low levels of school enrollment, especially among girls.
In the area of sanitation, a lot of work is also going on in that respect. By early 2011, statistics showed about 32%, but we know that by the close of the year, we were approaching about 40%, and we have a target of 65% by 2015. A lot of work is being done, especially through the community-led total sanitation, and this is getting more and more people aware of their role in ensuring very clean environment, and also that the quality of water that they use is of high quality. In terms of promoting sanitation and hygiene in our schools, we have to do this very closely with the Ministry of Education.
The water sanitation and hygiene programs initiated in schools was designed to be a student participatory program to allow school children come up with ideas and innovations that will aid good sanitation and hygiene practices. The program is also aimed at developing the school children into advocates that will take messages of good sanitation and hygiene practices back home to their friends and families in their communities.
What is this, children? You want to do hands together? And after that, we allow the hands to dry. Have you seen my hands? We allow the hands to dry. So what ambassador is the top?
It is for children to know, and even adults, to know that when they go out, they should wash their hands. When they come in, they should wash their hands. You need to wash your hands before certain things, like before you eat, before you cook food, and before, after going to the toilet. This critical times, you have to wash your hands. This is because if you don't wash your hands, you end up with illnesses like diarrhea. And that is why we always hear that under 5 children are dying from poor sanitation and poor hygiene practices by their families.
Sanitation and hygiene are critical factors to sustainable development and meeting up with the Millennium Development Goals. Sanitation has also been widely identified as a key input for alleviating poverty. However, Nigeria is falling short in the sanitation and hygiene department. Poor sanitation, coupled with low level of good hygiene practices, has ill effects on several other aspects of human livelihood. But more pressing is its effect on the children, especially those living in the rural areas, where sanitation and hygiene practices are generally regarded as poor.
Our duties straddle every ministry. We have to work with health very closely because of issues of sanitation. As you know, open defecation is going around still all over. There are very few communities where open defecation has been stopped in Nigeria, and open defecation is one of the main causes of spread of diseases.
Diarrhea in children under 5, which is largely a poor sanitation and hygiene-related disease, is the second main cause of infant mortality after malaria and the third main cause of under 5 mortality in Nigeria. It has been estimated that about 200,000 children die annually from diarrheal diseases.
The 2008 GNP results report showed that we have 32% coverage in sanitation. Today, because of the effort the ministry has played in trying to develop this area, we have reached about 46%. This particular data is from Bureau of Statistics, Federal Bureau of Statistics, which holds the statistics of the nation in all these different sectors. 46% is where we are now. By 2015, we have a target to get to 65% in sanitation.
Lack of water and sanitation facilities have been found to be more pronounced in schools in the developing world. Only 43% of primary schools in 60 developing countries, including Nigeria, have adequate water sources, while just 37% have adequate sanitation facilities. This often leads to poor enrollment and attendance of children, especially girls, in school. Bouts of diarrheal cases suffered by these children and other infections such as ringworm and helminth caused by poor sanitation and hygiene practices increases the level of absenteeism among students, and they are forced to stay at home due to these illnesses. Water is life. Watch Water for Life, the reality TV program on water management and delivery in Nigeria, brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources on NTA International, Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Water for Life.
We identified that Nigeria needed a water sanitation policy, and we worked with the ministry to develop a draft policy in 2005, 2004-2005. Also with the UNICEF, we were in partnership with the ministry and UNICEF. In that period of time, also, in particular in 2004, we identified the need for Nigeria to find a solution to waste management. I mean, human waste. We don't want to talk about this, but they are very important to talk about, because when a mother contaminates her fingers with shit and goes to prepare food, children die as a result of diarrhea, children contract polio through that means. Guinea worm is spread by going into water that is also not clean or has some pathogens that lead to that infection. So water sanitation is quite important to public health and the well-being in Nigeria. So we worked with the ministry to develop that draft strategy along with UNICEF. That strategy was established and is still available for approval. It hasn't been approved by the federal government. But I was talking about us then looking at how do we address the fecal issues that we face in Nigeria. How do we ensure that Nigerians uptake latrines in their masses rather than the usual practice of donor agencies supporting communities or providing sponsorship and some kind of grant for people to build toilets, what we generally call the VIP latrines. We went to our colleagues in Bangladesh, Water in Bangladesh, who had worked with a local NGO in Bangladesh to identify what they called then and still call community-led total sanitation. And we identified that way of approach to dealing with uptake of latrines. And we came back to Nigeria and spoke with the National Task Group on Sanitation. And the National Task Group on Sanitation adopted this strategy. And we went around the country sensitizing Nigerians as to how to uptake sanitation. I'm pleased to tell you today now that we've had over 100 communities that are open defecation free, because the ultimate goal of that process is to ensure that a community does not have anybody defecating in the open. We have several thousands of communities now at the point where they are close to open defecation free. I'm actually informed that UNICEF has taken that to a level where we have villages that are open defecation free.
The initial collaboration, UNICEF along with some partners supported the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. At that time it was Federal Ministry of Agriculture in 2006 and 2007 in piloting the initial state on CLTS. So we had very few communities in 2006-2007, which has now really expanded to almost 3,000 communities who are now having community-led total sanitation within their communities. So I think in that sense, the leadership provided by the Federal Ministry of Water Resources through the National Task Group on Sanitation, which UNICEF actually supports, has made a significant difference. So UNICEF support, particularly to CLTS, is in terms of supporting the National Task Group on Sanitation, because the National Task Group on Sanitation is the lead body within the country to support accelerating sanitation coverage within the country. It comprises stakeholders from various ministries, like you have education, you have health, you have environment, you have lands and housing, the National Orientation Agency, and several NGOs. So, of course, supported by UNICEF. I think this is really a very important body. So we, along with the NTGS, we support in terms of capacity building the capacity of the state and NGOs in terms of facilitation skills. Because in CLTS, facilitation skill is important. If you don't have the proper facilitation skills, CLTS may not be successful in a community. CLTS totally relies on the community. It's a community-led approach. So where the community takes ownership of improving their own, and the community is empowered to improve their own sanitation situation.
Two communities in Benue State, Agidi in Conchincha local government and Egakam in Oju local government, can boldly say today they are open defecation free ODF, thanks to UNICEF and other agencies who have worked with the communities over time to change their old habit of open defecation to building their own latrines. The communities were also taught to always wash their hands with soap or ashes after defecation. UNICEF also helped schools within the vicinity of the communities to build online latrine facilities. This enabled boys, girls, and even handicapped to have access to toilet facilities that promote hand wash. This has cut down tremendously diseases like cholera and diarrhea, which hitherto had been a killer.
The online sanitation facilities you see here are the sanitation facilities designed for the pupils in the primary schools and the secondary schools to be used. But this one is for the primary school. The online, you see hand washing facilities in a row, along with the urinary, the latrine. All these things are online. And the logic is that if you go enter into a latrine, you come out You come out, you wash your hands properly before you go to the classes or to do other things. You don't go outside the latrine premises before you wash your hands. Everything are here. The partition of the song is they are saying that you should wash your hands after defecating. Wash your hands after defecation. Wash your hands every time. If you come back from school, come back from market, come back from farm, make sure you wash your hands before you eat. Wash your hands to reduce infections.
We dey take our hands do plenty things. Take am count money, take am wash small pikin bonbons, even take am catch chicken. We must take care of our hands well as we dey use our hands so. Now so then we take carry germs. We must make sure say we wash our hands with soap and water or ashes and water. You will just come up from latrine. You won't take the same hand chop. You don't wash your hands with soap and water. No, wash your hand with soap and water or ashes and water after you go latrine.
Mama baby, now when you don't wash your pikin bonbon, make you wash your hand with soap and water or ashes and water after you wash your pikin bonbon. Even when you touch cow, whether not to kill am for chop, make you wash your hand with soap or ashes and water before you touch anything, whether not food, before you chop, even before you carry pikin.
Mama, stop. No carry me. You don't wash your hand with soap and water.
My sister, if you don't wash your hand with soap and water, now him say you want carry jam put for the food where you want cook be that. Make you wash your hand with soap and water or ashes and water before you begin cook.
Stay healthy. Wash your hands regularly.
As this Westcom comes here, all what we were here, drinking dirty shit, all those things have stopped. Everybody have a lesson to wash our hands very well before eating.
We support the Water and Sanitation Department to mobilize communities to participate in the sanitation program. And then the approach we use to end open defecation in the community is called the community-led total sanitation. This approach is mainly about communities coming to the realization that they have been eating their shit and drinking their shit all along. And when they realize this, they are ashamed and they are disgusted. They come up with a collective decision to end open defecation. And the decision they reach most of the time is they say they will construct their own latrines and then they would use them. And for aged women in the community, youth in the community also volunteer to construct latrines for them so that they can use it. For widows, you also have youth that come up to say they will assist them in constructing. So community members are very eager, and one thing I noticed about the CLTS is that there is also ripple effect in other communities because it is scaling up by itself. Other communities are realizing that communities, their fellow communities, have stopped defecating in the open, so they also are eager and are calling on us to come and mobilize them to end. So most time when you go to the community, it's already easy because of CLTS replicating itself in other communities.
Yangasulu, G Yasin, Simo Amakichi, Sifa, Bute Yila. Ahungwa kwangu gaya sibanya chochota ba ya sepa banya taji we ya kwa ya kwa jimo sire ko ba ha ni kwa ya we ya na bu tong si yi nya lo zene yemen yochi ba gene ya se ba fa ihungwa ka kwa bido na se ba du na hungwa sha ya se uda na ya kwangu kalanga lu cho kile Congo shihilu ya mba ya ve ya kwa ya je mo ye ba ha tin kwa ya ve zo hange si to si ye yo chi sa vi nya le ga akala pande hige tema so na yo mba ne ba bu so shi ya si fa ko yungwa ga Sifa o la sembele hejira asagapa na buse igen. Si pale ji ni ha ta kwa yana na sema so na kishi. Za mana dongo na dido.
Okola kama warewe na hegala lele. Nene kai ka hoyo tu wewe. Kama to dom kama we na hegala lele. Ko kumiji ya yela. Ai la temperi igalele. Le la nanzo na hela tete kwedika na jawle. Ai je we kwedja no menule. La wa ha no le he fu na wewe. Nene ai ka te pa magaga kwe mi bala ananzo jide kwe mi okpo kai we. Le te wele. Ai ho ni kaka ai le go kwe mi dukale ananzo te kwe mi duko anene ego ni keda mjako kai ka ga ai dukele ko wala lo teri jama na ha igale jabo kama mnaje hela ai kwa da ba ko to ko la ni.
Major institutions supporting community-led total sanitation implementation in Nigeria are the National Task Group on Sanitation under the leadership of Federal Ministry of Water Resources, the State Task Group on Sanitation, the State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agencies, the Local Government Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Departments, the Community Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Committees, and many community-based organizations. Donors supporting community-led total sanitation in Nigeria include the European Union, GFID, WSSCC, international NGOs and agencies engaged in community-led total sanitation are UNICEF, WaterAid, and Concern Universal. WERI, WERI, Bengonet, Fahinta, and Rukodev are the main local NGOs involved. The main finding of the evaluation is that the community-led total sanitation approach in the project area has generally been very successful in promoting significant reductions in the practice of open defecation in communities, with many of the assessed communities achieving open defecation-free status. The project has been remarkably successful in promoting the construction of latrines. This is an unprecedented rate of progress in Nigeria for unsubsidized latrines. Other key findings included significant improvements in the environmental sanitation of communities, better personal hygiene, improved security and dignity for girls and women who no longer have to walk to the bush in the early morning or night to defecate. And perhaps, most importantly, a sense of empowerment amongst community members who clearly felt that the community-led total sanitation processes and progress were their own.
PLTS is effective, it is useful, and it is working.
Join us again for another interesting program next week. Remember to send in your comments to the addresses at the bottom of the screen. I am Paige Bensu Akwada, and remember, water is life. Save it.